smile that makes the sun rise. You make it shine, but I can see that you don't realize.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I decided that I wanted to work on the new Lilsimsie shell challenge, and she's calling it the Simsie Lil Shell. But basically it's just a really tiny building. I was gonna call it a tiny home, but it doesn't actually have to be a home, but I decided to make it a home. Specifically, I decided that I wanted to make like a cabin kind of vibe over a pond of some kind, and I'm not gonna lie, this took me a while to get right. I actually cut out so much footage of me trying to figure out how to get my Sims into the cabin the way I wanted to, if that makes sense. I knew I wanted there to be kind of like a step up kind of thing, and I didn't want there to be stairs, that portion of the stairs that's underneath the actual stairs. I wanted that to be gone, but sometimes when I deleted, it deleted the whole stairs. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing, but don't worry, I did get it working, but I did have to cut out a bunch of stuff. You can see, even just drawing in fencing made it mad. It was a whole thing, but I did figure out, and I'm really happy with how it came out, and I'm very surprised that I actually fit in a full bathroom, and technically there's a bedroom in there. I did not put a full wall there because I thought it looked better without it, but included a one of the bigger beds and a living room and a kitchen and a dining space and an entryway. I'm actually really surprised that this all fit in here, but I did actually end up adding a back porch as well, because I just figured you would want to be able to look out over the woods, the landscaping, wherever this ends up being. I did build this in Copperdale, so that's the high school years world, and I have to say the lighting's not the greatest on this lot, but I really wanted to find a lot that had a bunch of forest around it, and I thought this one worked really well, to be honest. And you can see I'm messing around with this with this chimney a lot, trying to make it fit properly, and honestly I think it came out really nicely. And no, that is actually where the bathroom is. That is not where the fireplace ends up being, but it's fine, we can pretend. But there is a chimney to go with the fireplace I put in this home. And this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery if you want to download it under my ID, Spicensprinkles. Of course, as usual, if you want to download it, do whatever you want with it, change it, rearrange it, whatever you want to do. You can totally gut it if you want to, if you just want to use it as a shell and you like it over the water, or whatever you want to do. Feel free to do so, or put it on a bigger lot and put more stuff around it, all that kind of stuff. Just, have fun with it, and let me know what you do with it, because I would love to know. If you want to send me a message on, or tag me on Instagram or Twitter, I would love to see what you do. And I struggled too with what I wanted the facade to look like. I was really happy with the stone on the chimney, but then trying to figure out what I wanted the rest of it to look like. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go super rustic or more modern, and I ended up going more modern because I honestly really liked the door that came with the new Growing Together pack, and so that kind of determined what the rest of it was going to look like. At least on the exterior, I still had, when I was building this, I had no clue what the inside was going to look like absolutely no idea what aesthetic I wanted, what kind of Sims would live here. I mean, I feel like that's the story of my life lately. I just have no clue what it is that I want to do with my builds, but honestly I just start doing it and it just kind of comes together. In this case, I actually end up falling in love with a dining table, and that determines what the inside of this build actually looks like. And when we get to it, I'll mention it, but I don't think I've ever seen the dining table I end up using. I think it's from oh my goodness, City Living. All of a sudden I went totally blank. I wanted to say get something, get to work, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, it is from City Living, and it has such pretty swatches, almost like there's tiles on it. Oh my goodness. And it had this really pretty orange swatch. So we do end up using that. But I'm totally getting ahead of myself because we are still outside of this build, but I ended up opting for just a Snowy Escape mailbox because I just didn't feel like the other mailboxes fit really well. And I will also say preemptively, in the speed build, I did not put an exterior trash can on the build, but don't worry, what is on the gallery does in fact have a trash can. I did figure that out while I was doing my screenshots, so don't worry, that is there. But this ends up being like our little like walk-in foyer area, and we end up doing the kitchen over here. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit lost still at this point as to what I wanted to do with this space, like colors and all of that kind of stuff. I am not going to lie, I spent a lot of time trying to decide what kind of counters I wanted. I did cut that out so you didn't have to watch me try to decide, but it did take me a little while. You can see I was like swapping out different fridges. Like I really was like still struggling with the identity of this build at this like state, like when I was trying to figure out the kitchen. But I'm telling you, when I found the dining table, I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what I want to do for this space. And I think it turns out actually really nicely here. And I do end up swapping it out for an actual like full like stove. I don't know why I left it that way for so long, but you do actually have an oven as well in this build. And this is the dining table I was talking about. Like, let me know down below, have you seen this? Do you use this table? Because I swear I've never seen it before. I've built a lot of houses and I swear I've never seen that. But it was so pretty that I was like, I have to use this. Like, this is so perfect. And I tried to use curtains other than the Desert Luxe ones because I know I use them a lot. But honestly, they were just the best choice. I feel like they almost always are. Like, I love those curtains so much. And they had that really pretty swatch that I felt like matched the table. So I was like, you know what? This is going to work out really well. And I did struggle. I did want to have some sort of rug underneath that dining space, but it took me a little while, but you know, we got there. I did figure it out. And I tried to do some interesting tile here, but it was hard for me to match the wall tile with the kind of tile pattern that's on the table. So I just opted with like a plain like beige tile because we do have like all those color accents in here. And for some reason, I think I like cluttered the kitchen like at the very end. I don't know why. I just opted to like wait. I don't know. I don't know if I just got ahead of myself and got really excited to decorate the rest of this space, but I think it turned out super cute. And I will also say that I do actually end up changing the fireplace area just a little bit, and I can't remember if I do that before or after I end up doing the bedroom, but I do end up doing like a step up kind of like area for the fireplace. And when I was playtesting it, it did not work properly. I sort of done that before, but it just didn't like it this time. So I did have to change it a little bit. So what's on the gallery is a tiny bit different, but it basically looks just the same. Just, you know, I had to make that little step up area just a little bit bigger. And I know I ended up using this really weird space for the bathroom, but it honestly fit really well and it's been play tested. It all works. Your sim can do all the things that they need to do. But I do end up actually using like a full shower in here. I say a full shower as if that wasn't a full shower, but an enclosed shower. That's the word I'm looking for, because it just felt so open. I thought that was really cute that it just kind of fit over in the corner. And believe it or not, your Sims can actually get in here and get around the bed, which is so crazy. And I wanted to line that shelf up underneath or above technically the toilet, but for some reason it was being really weird. I don't know if it's because it was a diagonal wall, but it didn't want to let me move it over. So it's just kind of in the middle of that wall and not quite centered over the toilet, but I think it works out because I do end up putting like a stool over here and putting some like towels on top of it as well, which I feel like was a really nice accent. And even with all that stuff in here, your sim can get to what they needed to do, which is funny because I really was like expecting it not to work when I was playtesting it, but I'm just so happy it did work. And of course, like, I'm sitting here doing this and I didn't even realize it messed up the foundation, but don't worry, I fixed it. What's on the gallery is correct. But this build definitely caused me just a lot of issues just trying to get it to look like I wanted to, if that makes sense. Like having the foundations do what I want it to do, the stairs do what I want it to do, and all that kind of good stuff. And then I end up making this kind of like custom built-in shelving unit thing here for the Sims to put like their TV on and some of their other clutter. And of course too, when I was messing around trying to fix the fireplace situation while I was playtesting it, it deleted out all of the clutter from that shelving. So I tried to put it back the best I could, like, so hopefully it looks just about right. And I do not believe I actually leave that orange. I don't leave that orange. I really was back and forth. I was very tempted to leave the orange fireplace, but I decided that maybe it was just a little bit too much. but I really wanted to. Just so you know, I did want to, but I didn't. I swapped it to this white swatch, and I think that looked a little bit better, and it wasn't so like in your face with the orange, because actually I feel like there's a little bit of orange even in the stone that I used here as well, which is the same stone that we used outside of the build. And then I ended up putting that lovely hanging plant. I honestly love doing that. I love hanging plants from like a beam, like putting that over the kitchen or kind of wherever in the house. But I always think that looks so pretty. And then I end up using the Snowy Escape couch because I felt like it looked really simple and it was small, so it would fit in this area, and had that really cute matching chair. So we do use that as well. And even though I move stuff around a little bit, all of it is still in the living room, and your sim can get to everything, like all of that kind of good stuff. And honestly, I just think it looks really cute. I really like the way it turned out, and I am actually really happy that I ended up being able to use a bed kind of like in the middle of the room. You'll see me, I do end up swapping out the bed, I'm not gonna lie, and I do end up having to push the bed into the wall just a little bit so your sims can actually get around properly. I think it's because I end up putting a half wall up, like to kind of separate the living room and the bedroom, but it works out. It's fine. I end up putting a little bit of like vegetation, like vines on the side of the build, where the bed would be sticking out. So it looks fine. You can't tell at all. But I did do that during playtesting because it turns out like the sims do get a little bit stuck if I don't shove the bed into the wall. I tried to make it work, but it just didn't want to. But I ended up putting like a little nightstand over in the corner and a hanging plant. And I think it looks so good in here. I ended up loving the way it looked. And I was really, honestly, the one part of this build that I was really nervous about was the bedroom and hoping that it actually fit. And I will say I did not, I did. I was about to say I didn't put a dresser in here because I didn't think I was going to be able to fit it, but I did add one at the last minute. I did actually put one over kind of in the living space area. You can see that empty wall right there, and it actually ended up fitting really well there. I ended up using the one that came with Growing Together because it's actually one of the skinnier, like thinner dressers that we have. I honestly was between that one and then the Dream Home, I think is it Dream Home Decorator one? You know what I mean? That like really small skinny one. I was thinking about doing that one as well. And just so you know that in this kitchen, your sim can actually prepare food on the corner counter. So in case you didn't know that was a thing, your sims can still use this kitchen, even though it may not look like they can. And I didn't really put any clutter on the counter because I did want to make sure that your sims should be able to use that corner because if you've seen my builds, I like using clutter. So it was really hard for me not to cover this corner in clutter, but I didn't. I actually, kept it together and didn't do that. So your sim can actually cook properly. And I do end up putting a grill out here. And honestly, I just put like 2 chairs, like a cute little seating space because I didn't want to take away from the really nice landscaping around here. I just thought your sims might want to just come and hang out and spend some time with nature, if that makes sense. And just kind of being outside. And I thought about putting that like shelf over the grill because I thought that might be cute, but honestly it just ended up just looking a little bit weird to me. I think maybe it was some of the colors, the bright colors, so I just ended up putting like a little like chalkboard above it instead, and then just putting that cute little owl fixture, and it just ends up like that's it. And I kept it really simple, really simple. And then I end up adding like a ton of landscaping, like so many bushes, trees, and I went through so many different trees to figure out what exactly I wanted on this slot. Like, what is it, like, what was the look that I wanted? Do you know what I mean? Did I want it to be those like evergreen kind of trees, or did I want like birch? Like what was it that I saw myself putting here? And so you can see me going through, it felt like all of the trees in the game, and it felt like I went through them multiple times, but don't worry, I do make a decision. And believe it or not, I did cut some of this footage out of me trying to decide what tree I wanted to use, which is kind of crazy, but I keep it simple in that like I don't have a bunch of like different colors. I really just kept it like a bunch of vivid green colors, and I don't put trees like all the way around it. Instead I just put like little clusters of trees on 3 of the 4 corners, and then end up just using some like rocks around the trees with a few more like bushes and a few flowers, things like that. And I feel like in the future, if I do this, I would end up actually putting rocks at the bottom of like the pond before I put the house down. I'm wondering if that would actually allow me to put rocks at the bottom of it, because I wanted to, but it kept like popping up to the build. So it just didn't want to work properly. So I don't end up putting any rocks at the bottom, but I do end up putting like ducks and fish and all that kind of stuff. And I think I also put some dragonflies, I believe. So you'll see me add those here in a little bit. And once you actually go into live mode, you won't be able to see those things. They'll actually turn into fish and ducks and all of that kind of stuff, in case you've not seen that before. And I think all of them come with Cottage Living? Or did some of them come with the base game update? Because I know that when Cottage Living came out, we got the pond like update so that every person can do that, which is crazy to me that it took so long for them to add that. But anyways, that if you don't have Cottage Living and that stuff came in Cottage Living, then it'll just go away and it won't be an issue at all. And then just kind of making sure I liked the way this looked. And I did change out the water just a little bit because I like this coloration a little bit better. I thought about doing the one with like the leaves in it, but honestly, it's just so busy like that I just didn't really care for it. And you can just see me adding like a bunch of stuff everywhere. And I just loved the idea of having these mallards just like I was gonna say floating around, swimming around in this pond area. And it's so beautiful. And I did realize when I was playtesting it that I needed to put that fishing sign in the water. I did not know that. So fun fact, you have to put it in the water for your Sims to be able to fish. And I had no idea. Clearly, I don't usually use the fishing sign, and I don't usually have like ponds and things like that in my build, so maybe I need to do that more often so I would actually know some of these things. But I thought I'd share that fun fact in case you didn't know, or if you wondered how to get that to work. So the sign is actually in a different place when you download the build, but don't worry, I mean, it is effectively still the same thing. And then I did add a little bit of lighting underneath a lot of the vegetation. I think I did that after I finished filming. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.
You got a smile that makes the sun rise.